Welcome to the High Performance Interviews. And on today's episode, I have got the great pleasure to introduce you to Jarrad Walker. Jarrad is the creator of the Sonic Identity Launchpad and the voice equity philosophy, helping entrepreneurs to unmute their earned authority, protect their voice as an asset, and turn their message into a legacy that pays. How does that sound? He's known for his signature mantra, "You ain't new to this, you're true to this." Jarrad guides people to align their voice with their values so that they can speak, sell, and lead with clarity. His work blends biblical principles, philosophical insights, and proven business strategies to deliver high-ticket transformations that last. So I'd like to welcome you, Jarrad, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Oh my goodness, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much, Lucy, for allowing it.
Well, it is wonderful, and we're connecting across the water. I love it when I have guests who are from somewhere different than I am, and I'm based in the UK. So I'd love to hear your background, Jarrad, where this is all happening now, what I've just spoken about. This is what you do now, but there's been a journey, right? There's always a journey. And I love to find out from my guest what happened along the way and why this is so important. So if we start with the journey that you have had in your life and find out a little bit more about Jarrad's background, that would be awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely a journey. I believe if we're going to understand anyone, then we need to know their story. And then we don't stop there. We need to know their story in context. So, yeah, there's so many places I could start from, but I think I want to start at the very beginning of where all of this founded, like when it became real as understanding like who I am and where I am and why I am. When I go back all the way to the beginning of where this really started bubbling up and surfacing, it was in the some of the most stressful times of my life because I was stuck physically in my bed, unable to move and do the things that I typically would do. Constantly busy, constantly working, constantly focused on getting better and improving and taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. But see, in January of 2020, I found myself laying in my bed in pain because somehow I had injured my back. And I don't even know how it happened, but while I'm laying there injured, I hear my wife in the other room talking to our little ones. We had two at the time and
Mhm.
one on the way. And she was expressing her frustrations the best way that she could to try to communicate to them to pay attention and follow instructions. It was homeschooling time. It was time for class.
Mm.
And that's when it hit me. I've been failing my family. This is what she's been trying to express to me. This is what she's been trying to tell me for years now. And it wasn't until I was at home, stuck in the bed in the other room, that I actually heard her for the first time. So I felt like a failure. I felt hopeless in the moment because I was, what can I do? I can't even go to work. And because of that, while everyone was focused on the pandemic in 2020, I was focused on becoming the man that I was supposed to be a long time ago. And it was time to make a change. So that's where it started for me, being put in a position to where I had to actually listen to what was really going on in real time rather than be told and still didn't get it. I made the connection in 2020, in January, and that's where it all started taking place.
Wow. And that's such a huge differentiation, isn't it? It's like I'm being told something, I'm not actually hearing it or seeing it. And now I'm living in the place where it's happening, and I am at least hearing it through the walls of next door. And so now I truly understand. So that in itself is a huge lesson for us to put ourselves in the position of that person, or to it's that analogy of have you walked a mile in that person's shoes to really understand them? And it sounds like that hit like a lead balloon and it really hit home. So then what happened after that, Jared? Because that's huge.
Then I called the children into the room. He told them they better listen to their mama. And also, I apologized because I was a bit emotional. You don't get more emotional than this. I'm the man of the house. I retired my wife in 2015, and I am the one who was stuck in bed, unable to physically labor. I can't get up and go grab the kids and pick them up and actually put them where they need to go and do anything. And at this time, they're only 2 and 4.
Mm.
So I couldn't physically do, but I could mentally do. And I could absolutely use my voice. I could absolutely use my voice. So I apologized for failing my family in such the way that I was doing. And this is where I said, no more. Like, no, no more. Because a lot of the problem was daddy was present, but daddy was absent at the same time. And that's unacceptable. So we came up with the system that we have been operating in for the last 5 years now. Every Wednesday is family day.
Mhm.
And that has not, we don't compromise it because there's so much you can be doing in life. There's always time you can be spending or investing. But the investments that you don't regret are the ones that you wish you would have made when you had the opportunity. Because time goes by. I was warned, informed, and edified in pretty much this fact right here. You only get one chance to raise your kids, and the time to do so goes by just like that. It finally made sense. And when it made sense, I made adjustments. So we came up with a plan as a family. And one of the first things that I did, because I couldn't physically do a lot at the time outside of physical therapy, I started using my voice. I started creating alarms because I produce music. I produce music. That's one of the things that I do. I create music. But I said, well, why don't I just do something for my family? So I literally put my voice on a recording and did it multiple times and created multiple alarms. So the children were able to hear my voice, reminding them what time it was and what it was time to do. So my wife didn't have to use hers. So
Mm.
even when daddy wasn't physically present, my presence could still be felt and heard because they were following the instructions of my voice.
That's beautiful. Wow. That really is fantastic. And I'd love to know how that worked out to start with. Was it quite, because they were so young, did it just work out really quickly that they really took that on board?
They loved it
Mm.
because they participated. I didn't just create a bunch of all right, do this. Hey kids, like no, I have fun with some of them. I sang, put auto tune on some of it. I gave encouraging reminders, and then there are points it's like, all right, stop everything y'all doing. It's time to clean up. It's time, but there was a varying way of me communicating to my children.
Yeah.
And they were part of it. I even had them to get involved in saying, all right, what time is it? They say what time it was. What are we supposed to do? Each one got to say what they were supposed to do. And then we like, okay, good. So it wasn't me being some arbitrary dictator who was telling them this is what you must. No, it's, hey, these are gentle reminders to do what it is that's on the schedule.
Oh,
That's
you
pretty.
know, Jared, I love that so much. Being a peak performance coach is like, this makes my heart sing. It's like, this is the time to do this thing. Hey, come on, get on and do it. We need to add in some of your
Seriously.
music along to this interview, don't we? And I'm just going to ask you a quick question about that as well, because that sounds amazing and what a great thing to do with your children. Not it's you're doing it for them, but you're also doing it with them. And so having that participation means that they're not being told, they are participating literally in what time it is, what to do, and that's going to give them so much structure as they go through life. That's absolutely awesome. I love it. But tell us a little bit about your music background because you kind of slipped that in. I knew you were into music, and that's part of what you do now. Where did that start? Where did that come from?
Music is a part of my family history on so many levels. I began playing piano by ear when I was just 3 years old on the little Fisher Price toy key pianos. And later in life, I ended up learning and teaching myself how to produce music.
Oh,
And in the process of that, I ended up finding myself learning while earning. I used to work at General Motors. I worked there for 16 years.
wow.
So I would be on the assembly line, building trucks, Escalades, Tahoes, Denali's, Suburbans, you know, okay, all of that. I'm building trucks while producing music. So I would be producing vehicles and music at the same time. Funny story. One day I'm doing this because I mean we had like 8 to 10 hours every single, well, 6 days out of the week.
Mm.
So I had a lot of time and I didn't want to waste it. So I intentionally was developing a skill. Well, one day I'm just doing my job and I turn around and I'm playing the piano a little bit and I turn back around and I'm doing my job. And there's this gentleman, he's just staring at me from across the way on the opposite end of the truck. So
Uh-huh.
as the vehicle is going by and me, I'm positioned underneath in this pit, I keep seeing these feet and person above me. And I'm like, interesting. Well, people pass by all day, so it wasn't anything new. But he wasn't dressed like me. He was dressed like he was in some type of management position. Well, he ends up coming over to me. He's been listening to my music as I was producing it the whole time. He
Mm.
says, "Is this you? Did you make this?" I said, "Yeah." As I'm building the truck and coming back while I'm talking to him, he says, "Nice." We begin to talk. He tells me his father's a musician, has been doing it forever, travels and all of these things. And this man's definitely old enough to be my father.
Mm.
And when he leaves, my team leader comes and he says, "Jared, man, what's wrong with you?" I said, "What?" He said, "Man, dog, you trying to get fired." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, Man, that's the new superintendent, man." I said, "Oh, well, he told me to keep up the good work."
Yes. Oh, awesome is that? Fantastic. I love it that
That's
you're underneath there doing this thing, and then you've got your piano keyboard beside you.
I had my laptop. I had a MIDI controller, which is a keyboard that
Um,
the sounds aren't built in. It's inside of the software on the laptop.
mhm.
I had my speakers. I had everything set up illegally at the plant, but I did. I was bold. I've always been a risk taker. I definitely had all of that set up right there on my rack where my parts were, where I was supposed to be, where I was grabbing to build my. I had to go over there to get my parts so that I could put them on the vehicle and
Mm,
shoot them down and all of that. So because I had to go over there anyways, I found a way to make it all work.
yeah, yeah, very, very wise. Using those extra pieces of time really wisely. And then as you were putting the parts into the truck, was the next piece of music, the next phrase going through your head so that when you got back to the computer, you could just play
Somewhat. It's,
somewhat.
anytime you're talking about creativity, it doesn't flow and go just one way.
Mm,
But it definitely gave me time to think about what I had just done for just enough time to come back and either continue to hear or make adjustments or remove
yeah.
or add or whatever. So I was able to be in flow and then
Yeah.
I don't know how in the world I did what I did, But I did that for about maybe 6 to 7 years, if not longer,
Wow.
right there in that specific place. And to this day, there are people who, hey, Jerry, you still doing music? Hey, man, because that's what I was known for. Because in the plant, there are multiple lines,
Mm.
multiple assembly lines. The line that I was on allowed me to have my speakers facing towards another line, which was the door line, and they would be hearing what I'm creating and dancing. Now, granted, someone would like, "Can you turn it down?" So I would turn it down, but I was able to produce experiences in places that I did that they did just I didn't know they would be welcome. So I would literally still to this day see someone in a store and they ask me, even though they haven't seen me in like 10 years, "Hey man, you still making music, man?" I'm like, "Yes, that has not changed. It does it never will
Oh,
change."
it's part of you, isn't it? It really, really is part of you. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So we can, that's lovely because again, I love to hear where that's come from to sort of pieces of the puzzle fitting together. And then moving forward from where you were in your story to where you are now, what was the transition there, Jared? So you'd made the alarms with and for your children, and I know you have more now, and times have changed, and you're now very clear on what your offering is and what you do and the amazing way that you help people. So just fill in that little bit of a gap that we've got there, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, that gap comes into play right around the time once again, I was in pain. I'm suffering in a way that I didn't know I would ever suffer. I woke up, it was a couple of weeks after our 10-year anniversary at this time, wedding anniversary, and it was a Sunday morning, and I couldn't open my eyes, not all the way. I just thought I was tired. I thought my eyes were just very heavy. I was tired. My wife's birthday is on the 8th of September. Our son's is on the 9th of September. Our anniversary is on the 15th of September, and it was October 1st. So September had been busy. My job was going through some stuff. If you remember at that time, General Motors was going on strike. Like it's crazy the things that were going on. So it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that from that Sunday going all the way to Thursday, that would be my last day ever physically being able, ever working at the job I had been at for 16 years.
Mm.
Because they ended up telling me, oh, long story, but short. By the end of October, I have been diagnosed with a misdiagnosis, by the way, struggled physically, extreme pain every single day, unable to show up for my family physically or mentally because I had no ability to endure sound. If someone was cutting the grass outside or the dishwasher was running in our home, I was in my room with a pillow over my head because I could not handle the sound. And the light from outside and the sounds and the lights inside were overwhelming me because I was having extreme light and sound sensitivity. So migraines were very, 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 very painfully being experienced all day. So when I realized you'll never be able to go back and do the work you were doing, but I knew that things were being compromised within me. I made up my mind that there are things that I cannot do and there are things that I can do. And the number one thing that I can do is I can use my voice.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't need light to speak. I can use my voice and when I would hear those alarms, when I wasn't having an episode, I would be reminded that, man, I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
So wow, man, I need to hear that. So I ended up, that was in October of 2023. It wasn't until August of 2024 that I received the proper diagnosis. And they told me that it was MS, multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
So when they told me, I said, let's go. He said, what? You're an interesting man. I said, yeah, you have no idea. I've been wanting to know what it is that I'm dealing with, and I knew it wasn't what I was told. So I had to take myself off of medication and go through all types of challenges
Mm.
that develop the perspective that I currently have right now because I know if you can't do anything in life, there's one thing you can do and you should do, and that is be intentional about your voice and intentional about your life because your life, your time, and your legacy all go hand in hand. So that's when I came up with the understanding of, oh, well, ownership and equity are inseparable. Well, what's your voice equity? And everything that I've created since then has literally been helping people to unmute their voices because so many are silent because they've been silenced or silenced themselves and own their voice, which is a tricky thing, but at the same time, it's not. And then also monetize it. That's a summary of the journey, pretty
Mm.
much.
Wow. And I've known you, Jarrad, since probably the end of 2023, maybe the beginning of 2024, and have seen that part of the journey that you've been on and can see the clarity that you absolutely have now, that what you have uniquely to give is not only is it amazing because I've experienced your blueprint, which Jarrad, by the way, will be talking more about, I believe, at the end. So if you want to find out more about Jarrad, all the details are going to be in the description box. But that's so unique from I've never heard of anybody else or seen anybody else do it in the way that you do it. And it's because of this journey that you've been on, because of the realizations that you've had, because of what you've gone through. And when we look at the things that happen in life, we can go, why is this happening to me? Or we can ask, what is the reason I get to have this experience in my life? What is my soul trying to teach me? And there is a beauty in that question because it's opening up the mind to find what my mother would have said is the silver lining in every cloud. That's the way she would always put it. There's always a silver lining, Lucy, in every cloud. And I'm like, are you sure? But yes, she was sure. She was very wise. And I don't even know how, she just was a very wise lady. I don't know if she knew how wise she was, but true to form, she always came up with things and she always said them over and over and she truly believed them. And that was what I was left with from her was like these positive things come out of what seems to be a really dark cloud that is trying to cover us up and push us down. But no, there is a gift. If you open up that cloud and you look inside, there's a gift. And you found the gift. And now you're able to give that gift to other people.
Yeah, and if I may, if we just go 3 years prior to 2020,
Mm.
the connecting piece to the voice actually came from the last conversation that I had with my father. Him and I were talking. I was at work. We were laughing, ha ha, kiki, all that, and then I was speaking on the phone. He begins to make mention of a few things of his wife, and then all of a sudden he says, "Boy, speak of the devil." She calls him. He says, "Hold on, real quick." I said, "No, no, 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 no. Just take that. I'll just talk to you later." He said, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "All right, boy. I'll talk to you later. Love you." I said, "Talk to you later, pops. Love you too." I hang up. When I got off of work, I wanted my phone to just wanted to cut it off because it just kept ringing like non-stop from Facebook Messenger. I was like, what in the world? Who was trying to contact me from Facebook Messenger repetitively over and over and over and over again? And it was my stepsister. And she was trying to spit out what she was saying, but I couldn't understand because she was talking so fast. It's like the little girl from the T-Mobile commercial from many years ago who would just talk very, 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 very fast, which is nothing new. That's how she spoke. So I wasn't understanding what was going on. All I know is we don't converse.
Mm,
So why is she blowing my phone up?
yeah.
When I could finally make out a few of the words that she was saying, they were that her mom came into the house and found my dad on the side of the bed unresponsive. And I was like, that's odd. I just spoke with him.
Yeah.
So she was going to keep me updated because they had called the ambulance. And in my mind, I was like, okay, well, hope he's okay. That's what. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that he was going to the hospital, and that's that. I was waiting on an update.
Yeah.
When I received the update, it was his wife calling me, asking me what I was doing. I told her I was driving, headed home. She said, I need you to pull over, baby. I
Mm,
said, so in my mind, I've already made it up to say, if he's gone, he's gone. It was his time,
yeah.
and it just, there's nothing I could do about that. So it's going to be sad and all of that. So I just skipped the line and did not pull over. And I simply asked her, I said, is he dead? Because I just felt that's what she was going to try to tell me.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, baby. I shattered. I broke. I broke out into hysteria. I was screaming. I lost it. And I did not know. I did not know I would respond to that. And it was in that moment that I realized, see, the thing about the truth is there are some things you can hear that are so true. When you hear them, they will change your whole worldview. And it was because of that that I learned that death will humble you. But I understood the polarity of that because I was a father. Life will change you. I remember our firstborn being born. So if life changes you, but death humbles you, what you do in between matters the most. So just 3 days later, as I was still wrestling with this, and it didn't stop, of course, 3 days later, but I just wanted to hear his voice again. And I went looking to see if I had anything, and I had one voicemail coherently able to be heard. And I saved it. I backed it up multiple times. Well, that was 2017. So in 2020, while I was going through everything else I was going through, it was in 2020 that the pandemic took place. And there were people that were dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And when I realized, wow, my father's been dead for years now, and I have a voicemail. And that's when it hit me. Wow, not everyone else has a voicemail. Not everyone even has a recording. What I did, I took the voicemail and I created music around it, original composition of music that I created.
Hmm.
And to this day, when I want to hear my father's voice again, the only way I get to hear him say I love you is through that voicemail. And I just press play.
Yeah. That's so
I press play
beautiful. Yeah.
and I hear it with the music and the message.
Mm.
But it's not in context. It's not in context. He was actually fussing at me because I hadn't been picking up my phone. We had a
But
we
it
had a
doesn't matter,
temporary.
does it? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
No.
Well, there are those who need to understand that there is someone who will want to hear your voice again one more time that you value and they value you more than you can know.
Mm.
And the equity of your voice is so valuable that if you would just be intentional about leaving a legacy, Legacy stands for life examples gained after considering you. You don't have to be gone to leave a legacy. You just have to leave the room. This is why voice is so important because your voice is a time traveler. People will go back in time to hear it, or you can send yours forward to be ready for the person who needs it right when they need it in that moment. And you can get paid for it. But that's another subject.
Yeah. We're going to go on to that very soon. Oh my goodness, your story, Jared, I have to tell you, it is so like mine with my father, hearing that the hospital ringing and telling me that information and having one message from an answer phone message that he sent to me. And I found it when I was going through an old phone and I found it on there and I recorded the recording to keep his voice. So that, yeah, I totally, totally get that. And that's, whoo, sent me off. As I was listening to that, I'm like, okay, pull yourself together, Lucy. But it's so beautiful that you've kept that and put music to his voice and you just tap in. And it doesn't matter what the message is. It really doesn't. What matters is that you hear that person's voice. So I would love you to share what you do now for people, Jared, to bring us to the most updated version of Jarrad Walker and his amazing, unique expertise and what offer you have for our audience.
Wow, thank you. I love the updated version of me because not too long ago, I wouldn't have been able to tell you any of that without tearing up.
I did that for you.
Thank you. The updated of me version of Jared is the version that allows you to see you for you. See, everyone has experienced some level of life. Doesn't matter how many years you've been on this planet, you've experienced some level of life, even if it's only been one day. Well, as an adult, you absolutely have a greater view than an infant. And what I help people do is take that earned authority and own it and begin to sound like the expert you actually are by one, taking you from someone who is disconnected to being reconnected with who it is that I genuinely believe God has called you to be. Most people are functioning as if they think they know who they are or they don't think they know who they are. Meanwhile, you have those who don't know how valuable and fruitful they have been to more people than they can even count by simply being themselves, but using their words to change lives. And all they were doing was talking and being themselves.
Yeah,
The thing about it is, when you don't know the value of the value that you are offering others just by being you, you're unaware of the fruit that you have, which is the full results understood in time. This is why I say you ain't new to this. You true to this. Because there are things that you've done that many are still going through. They're doing it, you've done it. If I show you my scars, that's evidence and proof that your wounds can be healed. Yes, it's also proof that you suffered. Definitely. But to give somebody else a perspective that they don't even know exists, that right there is called not only hope, but it's called truth. Because the truth is you still here after going through all of it.
mm, so true.
So I help them to see themselves for who they are by literally presenting them with the blueprint of themselves. Like, how valuable and useful would it be to have a personal map of you
Truly
and you can
valuable
see?
and very useful. I can back that up.
And then what if you had little red X's all over to actually point out where the treasure was at on that map?
Oh,
That right there, alongside with the fact that that treasure that you have, that's called earned authority. And those who don't think they have authority have been deceived. They've been lied to, they've been manipulated and robbed. And I give people back their authority, their identity, and their equity because all of it is ownership and it belongs to you. You just don't know it if you don't know what you don't know. And that's okay. So we go through your blueprint, we find out exactly who it is you are, and then we get intentional about being that and taking that gift and, well, those gifts, plural, packaging them up and providing others at a premium, at a premium, because there are those who will pay a priceless amount of money to get what it is that you went through that you couldn't pay for.
Yeah,
So we take you and we package your experiences up and create a high ticket offer that's market ready and people want it and it's aligned with who you are. That's what I do.
that's what you do. And that's what you offer. So, what is your offer called? And we're going to put a link to this down in the description, as I said. So, what is that offer? What does somebody need to do? How does that all work, Jared? If somebody goes, yeah, that sounds like I want to do it, what are the steps?
Well, this is the fun part.
We come to the juicy bit.
Yes, this is the good stuff. The first thing that I require anyone to do is they must decide, do I want to even know what I have to offer? Because if you don't care, then you don't know. I help them figure that out. And the first step is to go through what I call a Sonic Identity Blueprint. They literally go through this process, they answer questions, we get their blueprint, and then we get on the call. I do them one on one. I prefer that. Once you have a clear view of you, then we know what to do. It's not about me seeing you with clarity, it's about you seeing you with clarity. Because one thing you can't argue with is receipts. You bought that. You can't argue with the receipt. Well, let's look at your receipts that you already have. That way we can be intentional about everything that you already own. So the first thing that I make sure is called a sonic identity assessment. And we go through that. You take it, and then we go through it, and then that is step number one. I believe we'll put a link in the description for that so that they'll have access to it if that's something that they believe they would align with, to know who they are, why they are, where they are, and what it is they can do with all of that because they deserve to know. And someone might be waiting on you to show up as the person that you were called to be.
Fantastic. Yeah, and definitely we're going to put the link down below. And I've been through the experience, I've been through the blueprint, I've been through the experience with Jarrad afterwards, and it is worth every dollar. So definitely check that out. Take the time to do it for you to be able to move forward and really understand who is moving forward in your life because you might be a little bit different than you think you are, but you'll discover all of that. And then Jarrad can just build other things on top if you're ready for that. So, Jarrad, any parting words before we say goodbye?
I just want everyone that hears my voice to understand that they matter more than they will ever know. And that there is someone waiting on them right now to unmute themselves. They're waiting on them to literally speak the truth of where they are right now in contrast to where they've been. Because the light that you have, I would go as far as to say the ability and responsibility to shine is only meant for the darkness. And if you know that there was a place and point in your life where you were in darkness and you wish someone would have given you some light to see, understand that you are exactly that person that gets to be who they need right now. So unmute yourself. and be intentional about your legacy because the life examples gained after considering you, this simply means that when people reflect on who you've become, it gives them hope or an example of what not to do. But hope is what I would hope you will desire. But if that hope is useful and is valuable, then that gives evidence and proof of your fruit. Question is, what are you going to do with that?
Mm. Very, very profound, wise words. So be the light. Basically, you are going to be the light if you choose to be for somebody else who is in that dark space and they need that light shining bright. And it could well be your light. So thank you so much, Jarrad, for all of, that you've brought to this interview, for all you've given, for all you continue to give along the way, along your journey. For our audience, there will be another video coming up on screen, so I'll see you over there. Please give this a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Give us some comments. We love to have feedback, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.